Are you tired of being weighed down? Have you fallen asleep on your health? This is your wake up call with my dad, Keith, my husband, Kyle, and me, Ashley.
Good morning, everyone. It's episode 114, and this is your wake up call. I hope you're up with us this morning, bright and Adam. And it is Tuesday, which means it is Tasty Tuesday, where we explore the world of food and a lot in regards to changes that we've made, and we just talk about stuff that you may not heard of before, or maybe it's stuff you have, and just kind of pick it apart. So, Tasty Tuesday, what are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to talk about egg replacements, because, clearly since we're staying away from animal products, that means we can't have eggs as well. And
Which can be a challenge.
Yeah, it is a challenge sometimes. And even, even using some of these egg replacers, it doesn't always yield the same results, in like baked goods and things like a normal egg would. And I don't do a whole lot of baking. The most baking I do is like cornbread occasionally. And I've yet to find a just real good recipe for that. I use, most of the time when I'm baking, I will use a flax egg. And what that is, it's ground up flax seeds. So you can buy them already ground, or you can buy just the regular flax seeds and ground them yourselves. And if you've got like a bullet or like a blender or even like a spice grinder, and Mom, I feel like she grinds hers every time she uses them, and I feel like her egg substitute just looks thicker, and she thinks it does a better job. But anyway, I just have a bag that's already ground up, and for each egg in whatever recipe you're using, it will be 1 tablespoon of the ground flax seeds to 3 tablespoons of water. So you dump all that, however many eggs you need, into a little container, and you mix them up, and you want them to sit there for 10 or 15 minutes, because what the seeds will do is kind of absorb some of that water, and then it gets like gel looking, like gooey, kind of like an egg. It gets sticky, so that's what helps, it hold things together in your recipe. So I use flax eggs a lot, and in some recipes you really can't tell the difference, like in like muffins or cookies, you really can't tell the difference. But I'm finding in like fluffier recipes, like cornbread or things like that, it's not really my favorite. So lately, I've been kind of looking up different egg replacements to use to kind of try these out in the future. I haven't tried some of these out, but I thought since I was thinking about it, I would just share it with you guys if you want to try some of them. But one of them that I found most interesting is baking powder. I found this on Pinterest, and I think I'm going to try this next time I make cornbread. But it says about 1.5 to 2 tablespoons of baking powder is a great way to make any batter rise. So this person uses it when making pancakes. It says that the sodium bicarbonate and the cream of tartar in baking powder react when it's combined with any kind of liquid, and that causes a rise. So what I'm wondering is, do I still use the flax egg in addition to the baking powder, or do I just use the baking powder? I don't know. This doesn't really say.
Yeah.
But I want to try that. I
No.
think I want to try it both ways, and I'll let y'all know
Yeah,
later.
just process of elimination. Try it both ways, and
Right.
whichever one works best is the one you keep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always amazed by the flax egg because it literally it gels, it kind of turns super thick pretty quick. I know some of that's the oil within that flax itself,
Right.
but it's just amazing to see it. And how much it acts like an egg is kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm. Chia seeds also do the same thing. And I'm pretty sure it's the same. Yeah, it's the same recipe. It's 1 tablespoon of chia seeds plus 3 tablespoons of water. And again, you can use just whole chia seeds, but I think it's better if you ground them up first before you add the water to them. A lot of people don't really love using flax seeds or chia seeds as egg replacements because you can see it. Excuse me. You can see it in the batter that you're making. So, if you're using chia seeds, you'll have little flecks of dark chia seeds in your cornbread or in your cake or whatever it is. It doesn't really bother me all that much, I'm of the school of thought of if it tastes good, it doesn't really matter what it looks like. So
That's right.
that doesn't really bother me too much.
If it's ugly and delicious, I'll eat it.
Right. So anyway, going back to the baking. Okay, so baking powder was one. Also, baking soda and vinegar, or any kind of citrus juice, which is basically just a chemical reaction. So if you pour these together, it gets kind of bubbly. And the idea is if you put that in whatever you're baking, it'll help rise. So, like I said, I don't really do a whole lot of baking, but when I do, it is hard to find a good egg substitute. And I think, at this point, I'm just going to have to experiment a little bit because I'm sure different plant-based eggs are just going to work differently in different types of things,
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking egg for egg, if we're looking for something that looks like eggs, and has kind of a taste of eggs, Follow Your Heart makes that egg replacer.
Right.
That cooks up just like eggs. And I've seen where people use that powdered mix into their baking. They just add a little extra liquid.
That's true. I have some Follow Your Heart eggs, and all I've ever used them for is actually eating eggs, like if we wanted something like scrambled eggs or an omelet or something. I've never actually tried putting them in a baked item, so maybe I should try that. But yeah, if you're just really having a hankering for some scrambled eggs, I recommend trying that. Of course, they're not exactly the same, but they're pretty close. The taste is closer than the texture is, in my opinion.
And those Follow Your Hearts, too, are pretty good if you're dredging stuff, maybe sticking in the oven.
Right.
So cooking dinner, it'll stick to the outside a lot better, which means you can pick more flour up and get kind of crispy.
Right. Like if you were to bake something like zucchini or tofu or something, you can make a little wet batter with one of these Follow Your Heart eggs, and actually you can make one with a flax egg or a chia egg or whatever. Anyway, you dunk your item into the wet batter, and then you can roll it in like panko breadcrumbs or cornflakes or whatever it is, and you stick it on parchment paper, put it in the oven, and it bakes up real crispy. That's pretty tasty. When you're trying to avoid deep fried foods, and you're just really craving something with a crunch, that's a good option.
Yeah. And you can kind of do the same with flax egg. It just doesn't work quite as well.
Yeah, definitely the Follow Your Heart egg works a little bit better, but usually if I'm making a dredge, I'll use maybe a little soy milk or water, and I'll just put like flour and whatever spices and stuff in. And usually that's sticky enough to allow the breadcrumbs or whatever to stick to it. But anywho, another replacement that this little chart says is yogurt. And you know, we live in a world now where you can find many varieties of non-dairy yogurt. You know, it was not too long ago the only yogurt you would find would be just plain dairy yogurt. And it seems like even in the last 2 or 3 years, like just the non-dairy yogurt and the non-dairy milk has just exploded. Like they're everywhere now, which is nice, you know, especially for poor little children like Kyle who had a legit milk allergy growing up, and there was no substitute whatsoever. So, like you know, there wasn't almond milk or cashew milk on the shelves or anything like that. So we definitely live, you know, it's a blessing, especially for those children who can't have dairy, to live in these days, because there's all kinds of options now. But this person likes the So Delicious cultured coconut milk yogurt. And she says to use 3 tablespoons for each egg in the recipe. And she says it works well in cupcake recipes. So I'll have to try that. And then there's applesauce. I've tried this before, but I feel like it doesn't give enough rise to whatever you're cooking. It just stays dense. So that one's not my favorite. But if you decide to choose it, it's just 1/3 of a cup of applesauce per egg. Okay. And the final one is another one that I've never used. But it says to use aquafaba. And what that is when you buy a can of chickpeas, garbanzo beans, whatever it is you call those, you save the liquid out of the can when you drain the chickpeas. And if you take a mixer to it, it'll whip up like egg whites. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube do this, and it's always amazing to me because I don't understand it. Something in that liquid, you know, allows it to whip up and look like whipped cream, which is crazy. Anyway, so they're saying, you know, if you're baking something that needs to be lighter, like a light batter, something with a little rise, that you can whip up some of those and use those as your egg replacer. So there are a lot of options out there that I'd never thought about or even knew about.
Same.
You know, that I'm going to try, and I will report back if and when I try any of these. Because like I said, I've only ever tried the flaxseed and the chia seed. And, you know, like I said, that works in some things. That works really great in, like, cookies and things like that. But I gotta find a good cornbread recipe, y'all, because it's a sad time when I can't make a good cornbread to go with my beans every once in a while. So I'm on a quest.
Trying to track it down.
Yeah. And if y'all are from the South and aren't listening to this, then you don't understand the importance of cornbread, but it's important. So.
It's a staple.
It is. It's a staple item. You know, growing up, Daddy would always talk about having staple items, you know, items you always have in your cupboard no matter what. Yep. And cornmeal is always one of those things. You never want to run out of that.
That's right.
And just a little bit of cornbread etiquette while we're on the point. Please don't put sugar in your cornbread.
And a lot of people like that. A lot of people like sweet cornbread. I don't.
Just don't do it.
That's a matter of opinion. If you like it, that's fine, but we don't, so that's fine too.
Well, there's cake, and then there's cornbread.
Yeah.
If I'm going to put sugar in something, it's going to be flour.
Some people like their cornbread to be cake.
Some people confuse those two.
Well, that's like Jiffy cornbread mix. I've never liked it because it's got sugar in it. So, there's that. Anyway, so if any of y'all have used any of these types of eggs, or if you know of a different egg replacer, let us know. I really am on a quest to figure out what works best and what kind of recipes. Since we're avoiding eggs. And not to mention, when you replace eggs with these items, you're greatly reducing the amount of fat in whatever it is you're baking, because eggs are very fatty. So that is that's another plus, All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Tasty Tuesday. Again, let us know if you've ever used any of these kinds of eggs or have another suggestion. Hope you have a really good day. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to find us on social media at Our Heavy House. And we'll be back tomorrow with What's That Wednesday.